Let's think about what factors make a society more productive. So productivity depends on several factors. The natural resources available to a society. A society that has abundant clean water, a society that has abundant fertile land, that society is going to be able to grow more food than a society that doesn't have abundant clean water and one that doesn't have abundant fertile land. A society that has mineral resources, aluminum, iron, other resources, that society can extract those resources and can make use of those resources. So, natural resources are one determinant. A second factor that affects productivity is the availability of machines, buildings, etc. Economists often call this physical capital. And the basic idea again is here is fairly straightforward. The idea is, for example, let's say we are trying to dig a canal. A person who tries to dig this canal with Stone Age tools, some pieces of flint, some pieces of rock, is going to have a very hard time digging that canal. A person who has a modern shovel is going to do significantly better. A person who has a bulldozer or an excavator is going to do better still. If you're trying to produce healthcare, if you're trying to produce housing, societies that have better physical capital, machines, equipment, buildings, they will end up being more productive. A third element that affects productivity is technology. An excavator today is better technologically, is more effective, maybe it's more fuel efficient than an excavator 15, 20, 30 years ago. This is especially clear when we talk about computers. So, a personal computer today that you buy is far more powerful than a similar computer that you could buy 5, 10, 15 years ago. So, as the technology improves, a society becomes more productive. Lastly, what is really important for the productivity of workers and as a consequence of the society that those workers populate is what economists call human capital. Human capital includes things like health and the skill or the education level of the workers in a society. The idea is that the healthier a worker is, the more she is going to be able to produce. Consider, for example, a farmer who is in good health. A farmer who is in good health is going to be able to do more work, and as a consequence, she is going to be able to produce more food than a farmer who is stricken with malaria, for instance. Similarly, a worker who is highly skilled, who is better educated, is going to be able to produce more and will be able to produce higher quality goods than a worker who is less skilled, a person who is less well educated. So these are the factors that affect productivity. One important thing to remember about these factors is that they are essentially fixed in the short term. If you look at very short periods of time, a few months, maybe even a few years, these factors are relatively hard, very hard, in fact, to change over short periods of time. So, for example, it takes a long time to train a heart surgeon. It takes a long time to train people for a variety of specialized work if their current skill level or education level is relatively low. So that takes a long time. Similarly, you can't build buildings overnight. Equipment, machines, natural resources are not improved overnight. And as a consequence, these things are essentially fixed in the short run, and productivity is fixed in the short run. However, in the long run, these things can and do change, and government policies can have an important impact on whether productivity improves in the future or whether it stays essentially stagnant or if it deteriorates. For instance, government policies that encourage the development of human capital, improvements in health, improvements in skill level, education, government policies that improve technology over time, encourage improvements in physical capital, encourage conservation of natural resources, those will tend to increase productivity over time and will tend to increase standards of living over time. This doesn't have to be all done by governments. This also depends on the actions of individuals and companies in a society. So if individuals and companies in a society, they value health, skills, education, that will lead to accumulation of human capital. If they invest in technology, that will lead to improvements in technology. If they conserve natural resources, that will lead to the availability of additional natural resources in the future. If they work to develop physical capital, that will mean that there'll be more physical capital available in the future, and as a consequence, standards of living will be higher in the future. In contrast, if these are discouraged, if these are not emphasized, if these are de-emphasized, and these things decrease over time, then standards of living will decrease over time.